We claim we're loving this hip-hop, are we ready to understand it in this fullest cultural sense? Beyond this useless branding, beyond the stories that keep feeding us the common myth. People started rapping in the 70s, what a bunch of shit. Done with the talk, loving New York for impact on my heart. But let's not pretend there was no foundation to this art, because KRS-One and Bam would be the first ones to say birth of hip-hop runs far deeper within our veins. Before Kool Herc came to New York pumping 100 watts, before the Watts Prophets, Last Poets and Gil Scott, before there was jazz, before there was blues, before there was Cab Calloway, before the whips and ships and all the tragedy, before was stripped of knowledge of a cultural anatomy. You could be apart for generations, you're still family. Before there were slaves, fuck the bullshit about slave music. They must have had a cultural base to even produce it. The schools of Timbuktu, they already knew the cycles of the planet and the motions of the moon. 150 years before Galileo, check it. A medieval Benin's in the Guinness Book of Records, and all of them cultures there. They had a griot speaker, a storyteller, musician, poet, and history keeper, who had to memorize a couple thousand oral epics. The tradition still exists today, but it could get neglected. And hip-hop needs to be understood in this fullest context, not a product of the hood. Cause Miles Davis was rich and still played with the same feeling. It's that cultural memory. Go and ask Stevie, Ella Fitzgerald, Scatton's basically rapping. When you know we lost our languages, you know what has happened. So when you hear somebody rapping, the base of it is African. That ain't about excluding no one, it's just accurate. Knowledge is power. Don't let them tell you about yourself, never, that's your wealth. Knowledge is power. If you don't feed your mind, how can it live in health? Knowledge is power. Don't let them tell you about yourself, never, that's your wealth. Knowledge is power. Look around, hip-hop's become this global voice, but we must understand its roots so we can have a choice. How we should use it, what we should do with, how to teach our students. Cause Viacom is not our cultural institution, but it will use this culture for its prostitution and our destruction. Anything but a solution, but ghetto dilemmas as bad as it's ever been. People are dead, just ain't remembering roots of the rhythm and bass. Jambia's fingers as good as the past that assemble it. Hannah is writing, we think the pencil is, people are sacred. We think the temple is, if I'm uncomfortable you shouldn't mention it. I'm superior, so what's your sentences? Don't disturb my privilege, pensioners living off ignorance of all the members of every one of all the people we severed off. Never one of all the people, we're never soft. Any gun or the better we sell it off. Any sum of all the cheddar we level off. Culture with suicide is a necessity to get you to worship celebrity. Cause people with the strong sense of themselves can stay there will never be. Knowledge is power. Don't let them tell you about yourself, never, that's your wealth. Knowledge is power. If you don't feed your mind, how can it live in health? Knowledge is power. Don't let them tell you about yourself, never, that's your wealth. Knowledge is power. When they say that knowledge ain't for you and your people, they're trying to keep you less than equal. Cause deep down in themselves, that's how they really see you less. Based on status or the places you was raised in, or the shade of your face's degrees or bank statements. So we gotta reject whatever they said, they're never benevolent yet. Yep, you sit at a desk collecting a check, no need to ever respect. Mess, coupled by death, triple by theft. Look at the West and the rest, transfer knowledge, transferring power. Now tell me what is left. Bliss, no, ignorance ain't. It's just a sedative numbing the pain. Only the clever shit could ever change our development towards an aim. No, bro, push off the chain. Training the muscle is training the brain. It is the same, pressure push through the pain. Once you are strong, you are never the same. Man, your swagger, the way that you stand up, the way that you work with your words as a rapper. I seen a killer convert from a trapper to working with you, them and telling them man up. I am not telling you ever get bad up, but if we're to fight, then we must keep our jab up. Come on, my people, stand up. Knowledge is power. Don't let them tell you about yourself, never, that's your wealth. Knowledge is power. If you don't feed your mind, how can it live in health? Knowledge is power. Don't let them tell you about yourself, never, that's your wealth. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. Don't let them tell you about yourself, never, that's your wealth. Knowledge is power. If you don't feed your mind, how can it live in health? Knowledge is power. Don't let them tell you about yourself, never, that's your wealth. Knowledge